If you're a Chipotle lover like me, you'll love this pork carnitas recipe. My name's Kevin and our channel is all about helping you live a healthy, sustainable, lower carb lifestyle. In today's video, I'm going to be making a Chipotle-inspired pulled pork or carnitas recipe that can be made in the Instant Pot. This recipe is both carnivore and keto friendly and comes out juicy, crispy, and full of flavor. For our ingredients today, I'm going to be starting off with a 3-pound pork shoulder or pork butt. Pork shoulder or pork butt is the only cut that works for this recipe, especially if you want that pull apart texture. The first step is to dry off and clean off your pork butt, which I've already done here. For our seasonings today, I have 1.5 teaspoons of Redmond's real salt. I have 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 tablespoon of oregano, and 2 teaspoons of ground cumin. Give that a quick stir. This is essentially the dry rub for the pork and the only seasonings that you'll need. I've also chopped 1 medium onion that we'll throw into the Instant Pot as well. Now we'll just coat the pork butt generously with the seasoning. Make sure you take your tongs and push it into the meat. Pork shoulder is one of the meats that we love getting on a carnivore or keto diet. It's full of fat and it's quite economical too. It's one of the cheaper meats that you can get at the grocery store. It just takes a little bit more time to cook, a little bit more love and patience. Once you do cook it this way, it comes out perfect every time. Yeah. Since these pork butts are so big, they get up to like 5 or 6 pounds sometimes at the store. This is great for meal prep or making in big batches. The way we're making it today, basically we cook a whole bunch of meat ahead of time. When we're ready to serve, we just pan fry the amount we want to get crispy. Make sure you soak up every last bit in the plate. So now I'm gonna add the seasoned pork shoulder to the Instant Pot. Feel free to adjust any of the seasonings you like. Depending on how strict of a carnivore you are, this recipe will taste great with just salt. First thing you wanna do is add a rack onto the bottom of your Instant Pot so that your meat doesn't burn. We'll throw in the pork shoulder, throw it in completely whole. Usually when you buy from the store, it'll already be pre-twined or pre-tied up. Then we chopped up about a small onion earlier. We'll throw that into the pot. This is purely for flavor. You can feel free to substitute for onion powder or just omit altogether. And we'll just add a couple teaspoons of chopped garlic for some aroma, flavoring the broth. And we'll need to add a little bit of liquid to the Instant Pot to make sure everything doesn't burn. Traditional carnitas uses orange juice, but we find that a mixture of apple cider vinegar and water substitutes perfectly well and creates that acidity that you're looking for from the orange juice. So we don't want too much apple cider vinegar. We'll use a 1/4 cup, 3/4 of a cup of water. And that's a total of 1 cup of liquid. You can substitute some of the water for chicken stock or pork stock, but you want to have the acidity from the apple cider vinegar, at least a 1/4 cup of it. The pork will release a lot of liquid too as it cooks. Here we go. Seal it. So the pork shoulder has been in the pressure cooker for 90 minutes and I've let it naturally release for another 15 minutes after. So now we can open it up. So the pork shoulder's been in there for an 1.5 hours. First thing I'm gonna do is just take it out of the pot. It's super tender and falling apart, so be really careful. Let that cool, get that ready to shred. We're actually gonna grab our fat separator. Usually these are used to get rid of the fat, but our goal here is to actually keep as much fat as possible. So I'll take the pot. You can see there's quite a bit of liquid in there and fat, the extra onions and garlic. So I'll just pour that right into here. So as the fat separates in here, I'm just gonna start shredding the pork. Remember to remove these pieces of twine. Don't wanna eat that. Big fork here. Okay, so I'll start shredding the pork up now. You can see the pork is just coming apart so easily. No resistance at all. You can do this with your hands, but it's super hot right now. You probably wanna let it cool down first. I think most people are okay just going at it with some forks and some tongs. This smells amazing. Doesn't have to be perfectly shredded, just enough so that it's all kind of apart. So now that the pork is fully shredded, you can either store as much as you want in the fridge or freezer, pull out a portion whenever you're ready to eat. So before we head over to the stove, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. It really allows us to help as many people as possible. The next step is to lay a thin layer of the pork down on a cold pan. And what we're gonna do is actually brown and crisp one side. So you get that kind of crispy, flat top flavor that you get from like a taco joint. We don't wanna do both sides, just the one, because we want it to stay juicy on one side, but crispy on the other. The next trick we wanna do is take some of the fat that we strained earlier, pour it all over the meat. This will help it get really crispy. As carnivores, we wanna make sure we're getting all the fat. So we'll turn that to medium-low. At first, the water is gonna boil off, and then it'll start crisping up after. Make sure it's all pressed down, flat, with good surface area coverage. So as you can see here, all the water has cooked off, and now it's basically all browned. See, it's like a nice brown sear on one side. So the top part is super juicy, and the bottom has a nice crispiness to it. So this is all ready here. That's perfect. Now it's time for the taste test. As you can see here, it got a nice brown sear on all the pieces, got nice and crispy. The trick is to get it crispy on one side, but keep it non-crispy and juicy on the other side, so you get that mix of different textures. Normally what I like to do is add some sour cream or some cheese, kind of make it like a Chipotle sort of bowl. Today we're just gonna eat it straight up. Let's go for a taste. That's perfect. Because we seared one half and left the other half unseared, it's super crispy on the inside, but still super juicy as well. So depending on how much you and your family can eat in one sitting, we'll pressure cook the meat first. When we're ready to eat, we pan sear as much as we're gonna eat. So of that 3-pound pork shoulder, we seared about half of it. So the rest of it we'll store in the fridge and we'll prepare it in the pan and sear it right before we're ready to eat throughout the week. So that way it always gets crispy every time you eat it. The spices that we use today, the oregano, the cumin, kind of give it that Mexican sort of flair. If you like a little bit more spice and you can tolerate it, feel free to add things like chili powder, or I know that Chipotle likes to marinate their pork in adobo, but we like to keep our seasonings minimal for the carnivore diet. If you liked our video today, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Comment down below if you'd like to see any other Instant Pot recipes from us in the future. Until next time.